Today, I'm joined by Mike Koenigs, entrepreneur, best-selling author, and one of the leading voices on business reinvention and AI. He's the author of the AI Accelerator. Mike helps founders build category of one businesses and leverage AI to scale smarter, faster, and with more impact. Mike, welcome to the show.
It is so nice to be here, and I know you are at the bottom of the planet right now.
I am. It's a great being down here in Cape Town, South Africa. Are you in San Diego? Where are you right now?
Yeah, we're in San Diego, and we split our time between Baja California, Mexico, in the Todos Santos area, and also Malaga, Spain, where
Oh,
we've got
beautiful.
homes. So we're working on being international citizens.
I love that. That's awesome. We love the warm weather too. We're in Puerto Rico part of the year as well.
So
But
nice.
it's great to have you on the show, man. I've seen you around for a long time. You're a legend in the business
Thanks.
world, the marketing world, the personal development world. I've seen you with Tony Robbins, Dan Sullivan. I worked for Tony. I'm in strategic coach, so it's cool to connect with
Yeah.
you here. I remember also you spoke at Paragon House, which is in Los Angeles, with my friend Jeff Benton and his group.
Yes.
So that's where we connected there as well. So,
Yeah.
but I'm
It was
excited to.
so good to connect, and we have so many friends in common. That's for
Yep,
sure.
absolutely. It's really cool. So I have a lot to talk to you about, but why don't we start with let's start with AI. That's kind of like the big thing that's on my mind and on a lot of people's mind. And you're really helping entrepreneurs and founders really integrate it more into their businesses to propel them moving forward. So I'm
Yep.
curious, what made you kind of grab it by the horns and start running with it?
Yeah, well, it was a combination of things. So if you go way back, I studied AI in the 70s with one of the original founders, a guy named Marvin Minsky. And I was always interested in it since I heard about it. And of course, this dates me, of course, but then I started coding when I was 14 years old. So I wrote video games for a spell, and then I started a digital marketing agency in the late 80s. So that's dating me. But then when ChatGPT was launched, it was November 20th, 2022. A friend of mine said, "Hey, did you try it out yet?" And I said, "No, I'm about to." And he says, "Get on Zoom with me. You got to check this out." So I sat down and I saw the future and I went gung ho. And 2 days later, I had a podcast with Dan Sullivan and I showed Dan a whole bunch of stuff I created. And then I got a call from Peter Diamandis and he said, "Hey, would you come teach the Abundance 360 community generative AI?" And I said, "Hell yeah." He said, "When can you meet?" And I said, I'm meeting with Dave Asprey tomorrow. And he says, "Why don't you drop by and show me what you have?" And I had already built a presentation, enough training material in a week. I showed it to him and he said, "You could train my people tomorrow, couldn't you?" And I go, "Hell yeah, I'm ready." And he goes, "All right, so you're in." So I ended up training uh, Peter's community. And then I got a call from Tony's land, and Tony wanted me to come speak and present to the Lions at his home. So, of course, that put the heat on. And then from there, one thing led to another. I got a call from EO, YPO. I just spoke at UN and I just booked a gig. I'm speaking at NASA in 2 weeks. So it has been a absolute crazy experience. The great thing is it created a lot of relevance. I ended up writing this book, AI Accelerator, and it's the hottest topic. Every business needs it, and if you don't do something with I think you're in danger. So that's the long-winded, short answer to your question.
Wow, that's incredible. NASA, you're helping out. Tony Robbins, Peter Diamandis. That's amazing.
Yeah, it's been wild. It's been a wild ride. United Nations is probably the craziest one out of all of them.
Oh yeah, I can't imagine that. That's really cool.
Yeah.
So why is it so important for people to really get on this and take advantage of it?
Well, I think here's the framing I use when I tell people is number one, your competitors are probably using AI right now, and anyone who's using it is seeing they can easily increase their productivity by triple or at least save 10 to 20% on time. So that's got a compounding effect right away. Being able to create marketing at scale. And ultimately, from a fear perspective, someone using AI more effectively in your category is going to steal your customers. And
Mm,
I would argue that if you're not creating AI opportunities for your teams, and your employees, they're going to go somewhere where you do. And the second thing is, I would say companies have about an 9 to 24 month window to adopt. And the ones who are using it effectively are seeing a massive ROI. The ones who aren't. I just saw a report yesterday that the failure level for AI implementation in corporations is as high as 95%. And that just tells me one big thing, which is you cannot be a dictator at the top and tell your team you must use AI or else. Founders, and I've proven this because when we do AI training, I say the founder has to be in the room with a number one or an integrator. And I prefer that you've got 2 team members workshopping for 2 days. You'll learn everything you need to know, and in the land of the blind, the one-eyed man is king. But you can, I am building software again. I haven't written code in 20 some odd years, but you can sit down with no code tools and write an app that is 60 to 80% functional in a day. All right, that is profound. I'll have a software product done by tomorrow morning that I prototyped about 75% of it. And I'm not saying this to be cool. I'm saying anyone can do this. The tools are out there, but the problem is, how do you sift the signal and the noise? That's the hard thing, is knowing what to focus on and how to get your teams excited so they're not terrified about it.
Those are 2 great. How do you sift the signal from the noise, Mike?
All right, I'll tell you. I've got a couple of shortcuts, and it has to do with how quickly you can learn. So I'll describe it. I can show it. But number one, the first thing you should do is, if you've got an iPhone, and I have it. We've got our iPhones, and you can program your action button to launch ChatGPT. So if I were to talk about like what my number one tip is, and I'll show it to you if it's okay. Is it okay if I share my screen?
Yeah, I'm looking for my phone. Oh, there's my phone. Let me grab it.
All right, go grab it, and then I'll talk about it and show it. Here's my number one tip to get rid of the overwhelm. So I'll give you 3. One of them is ChatGPT is my go-to tool, but I've got a number 2 that a lot of people have never heard of. So if you set your action button to ChatGPT, you just go to General in your settings, you click on Shortcut, you can choose Open ChatGPT. You have to getting in the habit of talking to ChatGPT like it is a employee or a team member, I think is key. And I believe that psychologically, all of us, all adults, have given up our agency decades ago to schools, educations, a college, a government, saying, how do I, where do I find? And now you can answer literally anything. It was Elon less than a year ago said, all of human knowledge in its entirety has been trained, AI has been trained on it. And this is many, many models. So I think that's the first thing. And then the second answer to your question is, my second go-to product is a tool called GenSpark, GenSpark. Now, GenSpark is something called a super agent. And I can give you case studies galore, but one of the key things is, let's say you have a YouTube channel that you love to follow that has great information on it. So like, who would be one of the people that, if you could just compress time and absorb all their stuff, who comes to mind?
Tony Robbins, Elon Musk, Peter Thiel.
By the way, I lost your audio reduced. Your microphone must be a ways away from your face. There you go. All
Thank you. Tony Robbins, Elon Musk, Peter Thiel, you.
Great. So here's I could use Peter Thiel as an example, but anyone could do this. And I'm going to give you a prompt that I use. So you can go to, let's say, anyone's channel. And again, I can actually demonstrate this because it's ridiculously easy, and I'll fire up GenSpark to do it. Okay. So I'm going to show my screen, but I'll describe it for any audio listeners. And GenSpark, as I said, is a super agent. And if you look at the screen right now, it's got a whole bunch of tools. One of them is it creates slides. It can create spreadsheets, documentation. It writes code. It now just added, this is as of yesterday when we're recording this, a designer capability. It creates podcasts, chat. It can even make videos. Deep research. This thing is insane, and you can connect it to your Google, Gmail, Drive, Calendar to basically work like an executive assistant. So I'm going to fire up YouTube right now, and I'm going to just look up Peter Thiel. And now I doubt if he has a channel, but let's say we wanted to find, here's an interesting interview that was seen over 500,000 times already, and it's recent. So I can grab this link to this video, but I could just as well grab an entire playlist or an entire YouTube channel. So I'm going to go back to GenSpark. I'm going to click on AI Docs, and I'm going to call this the Peter Thiel interview summary. But where it gets more interesting is when you give it an entire channel and you say, I want you to summarize the past 20 videos and interviews with this guy. And I'll go through a prompt that I'm popping in here, but it basically is going to say, summarize this video and include all examples, brand or logo icons, images, use cases, tools, resource links, prompts mentioned in the video. Organize the document with a full table of contents in an editable Apple quality brochure class format with tags. Format it. And basically what GenSpark's going to go out and do is grab the transcript. However, if you gave it an entire playlist, it would grab an entire playlist. You could give it multiple and say, get the top 5 most recent videos from all 6 of these channels, summarize them, and create a summary document for me. You can even tell it, I want you to write this in my voice and make every use case relevant to me and teach me in the way I learn. So if you just dissect what I gave you right now, you can teach AI to teach you the way you learn. You can compress time, meaning digest 50 hours of content in probably 15 minutes. And here you can see, as this thing is writing, it's already written an executive summary, grab the insights, and it's beautifully formatted with a full table of contents. All right. And then it time code marks this thing. I even have it set up so it grabs screen grabs. I've written entire how-to documents that companies have tried doing themselves and spent years not getting done because they don't have the right expertise in-house. And this thing can do it in a matter of minutes. So
that's incredible.
This is what I'm most excited about is AI is a time machine. You can compress 40 hours into 14 minutes. And if you do that on a compounding basis and you teach your teams how to do it, you can create superhuman teams right now with the tools we have. And this thing's $20 a month.
That's insane. The craziest thing is, I think it's just hard for people to fathom how powerful it is.
Yes.
And then some people just kind of take it for granted or just don't even, it's just hard to even understand that. But yeah, it's insane just seeing that.
People
even just
need use cases. That's what they need. They said, how can it help me now? How can it give me my time back? How can it take away the pain? How can I make more money? But you can't start by saying, how can I make more money? First of all, you have to understand your behaviors and your limitations. And that leads us to AI as a meta coach. Because you can, if you talk to it and you describe problems you have, you can solve your biggest problems, which are usually, as Dan Sullivan would say, a who problem, not a how problem.
Yep. Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah.
Totally. So you have the AI Accelerator training program, yes?
Yeah,
That's where
correct.
you help founders and companies accelerate with AI, and learn these things.
Yes. So we do it a couple ways. We've got weekly trainings. The starting point's my book, but then we do free webinars, content. I talk about this a lot. But what I love, there are 2 things I love the most. One of them is we do 2-day in-person events where I always say it has to be founder led. If the founder doesn't get involved in AI, I think the company's screwed. It's that black and white. And I would be like, well, what about my number one? I say the number one needs to be there with you, because if you don't understand what's possible, what's an unreasonable ask, what's a reasonable ask, and also how this shifts your culture and your thinking of the organization. And if you're not with it, it's like a founder who doesn't know how to use email, the internet, or didn't learn how to type. And before that, it was a fax machine. Before that, it was telegraph. Before that, it was cars versus horses. It's a mindset shift, and it is a tool multiplier and a capability amplifier. So with that, what we do is we focus on number one, getting your time back and expanding your superpowers. So it's really mindset training. And then we do workshop style where I have the teams working. So the founder is leading the team. And I've watched a founder imagine a software tool that would solve a big problem that they may have spent 6 months or 2 years trying to do and never had any luck with an agency, prototype it in an hour and go, holy crap, this changes everything. Like 10x changes everything. And then the other thing that I love is I do one days where I just work with founders. I've got one coming next week, and we're going to prototype 4 software products in a day that will be semi-functional and usable enough that I can go to my developer and say, now make this real and finish it. And the code is good enough it can be finished. It's not like it's throwaway. So it's like 3D printing 80% of a car and then passing it on to the engineers so they can do the safety testing and do the polish and manufacture something. That's the mindset shift.
Wow, that's amazing. That's so cool. I love how you build things in real time with people to demonstrate, right? And actually like make things happen.
Yes.
It's so helpful.
Short attention span, quick start founders are real-time innovators, and being able to innovate and iterate in real time is so profound. Again, I think it is a monumental shift in human potential that has been unrealized, because you can compose music now and movies. My son, he's 23, just got a job, and I just showed him how to use no code. He prototyped some software, and he got a job for $80,000 a week ago. And being a 23-year-old is really, really hard right now. And it's not because daddy gave him a job. It's because he earned it, and he did so well, it blew me away. And that's what I want to see for all young people. Entrepreneurship is an international language of peace and prosperity.
That's great. Entrepreneurship is an international language of peace and prosperity. That's great. I love that. Congrats for your son. That's awesome that he got that job. And I remember reading in your book, the AI Accelerator, that how you and your son wrote a book with AI.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was one of the first projects we did together. And then he started a little business creating AI audiobooks. So, and it's not because he had secret special powers or daddy I did not make it easy once. I made him earn it and ask for it. I did help him when he asked, but I didn't do it for him. And that is an important distinction that used improperly, social media and phones made most of the population stupider. Okay. That's just, I think, an observable fact. Lazy and stupid and complacent, and also turned man against man and woman against woman and whatever in between, right? So AI is going to be a 10x multiplier, an order of magnitude. So if you do stupid things, it'll make you 1,000 times stupider. It'll make you a ignorant cheater, or it will make those who are productive and see the possibility and potential of being amplified 100 times more effective. Now, you can look at that and go, oh my God, that's terrible. But for many very highly productive people who are motivated with the right value system, you can be a one-person business with nothing more than a phone. You can be, this will give, and that was the basis of the UN speech I did, was that you could give a young girl with in poverty a smartphone and teach her how to use AI and create a solution business plan in 4 different languages, a pitch video, a presentation with that vision, and create a mini documentary with a fully executable plan in a matter of a day or 2, including training her. All right. Now that is think about the unimaginable impossibilities up until now with a just nothing more than a smartphone, which at this point is loanable. You know, in the 20 years my wife's been in Uganda, when she started going there, there were no phones. Now there are
Yep.
children walking in the ditches holding smartphones. Unfortunately, they're probably staring at porn or Instagram or TikTok or something that is turning their brain into cottage cheese. But the ones who see the possibility are amplified in incredible ways.
Yep. I agree totally. I think it's just going to make kind of like money, right? Just makes you more of who you are. Um,
Yeah.
it definitely, I was initially a little like, oh, this is gonna make me dumber, but actually it's making me smarter. My brain is like, I use it every day and like my brain is like growing and growing and growing because it's like I'm
Yes.
making all these connections. It's unbelievable. Even the stuff you just showed me now, I'm already just like, my brain just like, oh, I want to go do this. And it's like expanding. It's really cool.
I don't think there's ever been a better time to be alive. And at the moment, I don't want it to come at me or anyone I know any faster than it already is. It's just the right amount of terrifying. And I think if you're not paying attention to it, you should be scared, because the deeper you go down the rabbit hole, the faster it's moving. And
Yep.
when there is chaos, there is incredible opportunity. It's like that old, I think it's an I Ching saying. Um, but these are very important times to make decisions about who you wish to be and what you wish to amplify, and to get a level of clarity on what your expectations for your life and your future really are, more than ever before. And there's help and there are
Absolutely.
tools. Yeah.
Absolutely. What's one first step you would recommend to somebody who's not paying enough attention to AI?
Oh, okay. So I have a couple little tools that I use as demonstrations when I work with people. So I'm gonna show you a couple, and again, I'm gonna prompt it. And one of the things that I'm gonna do for you as a gift is, when we're done, I'm going to take our recording. I'll run it through my my GenSpark filter. I've got a special prompt. It will create a downloadable document with all the prompts that I talk about, so you can share that with your audience. Okay, so I'm going to do your work for you, if that's okay.
Absolutely.
All right. So I'm going to show and explain like the first steps to take, some baby steps. And I use them as ways to create more human connection also. So when I do dinners now, where normally I'd say, put your damn phone away. I don't want you to have that stupid thing out. Let's actually connect as human beings and create a deeper relationship and be as vulnerable as possible. But
Mm,
sometimes AI can actually aid in creating vulnerability. So here's the basic idea: is AI is your meta coach. And one of the first things you can do, if you already are using ChatGPT, which everyone should have an account and everyone should have a paid account, because if you don't have a paid account, you are the product. As I like
mm,
to say, well, what about your privacy? I hear that all the time. I'll be like, okay, the moment you went on the internet, you gave up your privacy. The moment you got a free email account, you gave up your privacy. The moment you got a smartphone, you gave up all your privacy. The NSA long took advantage of that. And the second you got on Meta or TikTok or any social property, you more than gave up all of your privacy. Okay, so AI could be a horrible multiplier, but let's start by being honest with ourselves and know that the future belongs to those who innovate and iterate rapidly and are first to market and understand marketing, which is how to get attention, how to collapse the speed of trust, and to create intimacy. You know, the trust is something that can't be made up. It can be accelerated. It can be kind of faked, but in the long run. So here's the basic idea: is AI is your meta coach. So a prompt to pop into ChatGPT is, take everything you know about me and describe me in just one word. And if you were to do that right now, it'll pay attention to all the conversations you've been having, your behaviors, the kind of questions you ask, and what you do on a regular basis with it, and tell you what it thinks. Okay. So mine was relentless, which I will accept as a gift, but I am, like I don't stop until I have a solution and I solve a problem. I just don't. I've always been that way. But another prompt, this is a good one. This is AI as your meta coach. So I'm going to read it and describe it. And I'm also going to describe, here's how I use it when I have dinners. I'll say, okay, everyone, I'm going to put you in a group text, or I'll give you a QR code so you can grab this thing. And I want you to put this prompt into ChatGPT and then look at the results and find the most vulnerable, painful discovery. And whoever shares it first is the first winner, and so on. So the prompt is, you are my AI meta coach. Based on your full memory of our past conversations, do the following. Identify 5 recurring patterns in how I think, speak, or act that limit my growth, even if I haven't noticed them. And for each blind spot, tell me where it shows up, what beliefs or emotions drive it, how it holds me back, one practical and comfortable action I can do to challenge it. You can see that my grammar wasn't even right because I just spoke it. And then challenge me with a single, brutally honest question that no one else in my life would dare to ask, but I need to answer, and then suggest a 7-day self-recalibration exercise based on what you've observed. So what happens is it will go to town and produce a report. And what I've learned, because I started doing this several months ago, I actually took action on every single one of these when I got feedback. And then as I shifted my behavior, ChatGPT noticed, and it gave me brand new ones to work on. So, one either positive or negative, depending on how you look at it, is AI is learning all the time based on your behaviors. And then if you want to go the next level, it's here's a prompt to get your time back, because that's what we all need, is to be more efficient, more effective with our time. And then that prompt is just, I want you to help me get as much of my time back as possible. So I want you to create a prompt. So you can tell ChatGPT to make you a prompt, because you don't have to be a prompt engineer to be really effective with it. Just tell it what your outcome is. Make me a prompt that'll help me get my time back could be good enough. But then I added it, I made it a coach, and I said, based on everything you know about me, everything I do, give me 10 recommendations and suggestions on how I can become more efficient, get my time back, focus on my greatest, highest value, and start creating passive income or increase my value by 3 to 10 times or more. What should I do first? So it makes a prompt, and then it runs the prompt, and then it helps you become a better human being. So that's again, the long-winded answer to your short question is, where do you start first? And it's simply and progressively.
Yep. And play with it, it sounds like. And you just made this up? You made this idea up, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I love that.
I just listened to the pain that I know people have.
Yep.
And, like Peter Diamandis, I'm like, what do you want AI to do more than anything? He goes, I have no time. I need more time. I'm always fighting for time. And I'm like, well, if I can solve Peter Diamandis's problems, or a Tony Robbins level problem, or any visible guru, and become one of their most valuable resources and go-tos, that has value, and that'll be amplified and multiplied by factors of 10 as well. And I'm not doing it for attention or to be more loved. It's because people who solve big problems have really big problems that are bigger than most people's, right? It's like, again, just, you'd be like, oh, if I were only a billionaire, if I were only a millionaire, I'd be like, well, you know what? Been there, done that. Not billionaire, but you got different problems to solve.
Yep.
High quality problems, but different problems.
Yep. Spot on. Exactly. Yeah. So how can people get your book or sign up for your training? Just go to AI Accelerator or?
Thanks for asking. Yeah. So one of them is, I'm going to make sure they get the book for free. So this is, just go to aiaccelerator.com/free. And that is what you'll get is both the book and the audio book, which I've released as a free podcast. So I'm actually bypassing traditional distribution.
Yeah.
And then there's one, I just a couple days ago created a brand new training, step-by-step, on getting your time back. That's kind of like step 1. Step 2 is 1-person marketing team. Step 3, increasing your value, your ability to get attention, and your brand value or your business value. And the 4th is automating everything. Each one are practical, tactical, step-by-step prompts and tools. And then if you want to go further, there's links inside there for the AI Accelerator training, which is weekly, taught by my compadre Brad Costanzo, a really good friend of 15 years. And then we also do our live events, and our next one's coming up very soon. So, and if you love in person, I cannot recommend it enough. You will walk away with your brain shifted. You will
Mm.
think differently, behave differently, and see the world through a completely different lens. It's just
I,
as much personal growth as practical, tactical AI training.
I can't imagine. My friend Jocelyn Rayburn, she's going to your event. She
I
invited me.
I love Jocelyn. Just texting her yesterday. So yes, I would love it to have you there. It would be
Yeah,
so
I would
much
love to
fun.
come. This time I'm in Cape Town still, unfortunately. But
Okay.
when you do another one, I would love to come in person.
Oh, it'd be so great. Please.
Yeah. Um, the the next thing I want to ask you about, there's two more things before we wrap this up.
Sure.
Uh, I want to talk. You're also an expert at building brands and rebuilding brands, and you have your 6 M's formula. So I want to ask you
Yes.
about that. And then I also want to talk to you, if we have time at the end, a little bit about longevity, because I
Yes.
think that's super important, right? We don't want to sacrifice our health, and we live in a beautiful time to live even longer than ever. And you do, it looks like you're doing a
Yes.
great job taking care of your body as well. And you also worked with our friend Reagan Archibald, who I just had on the podcast as well. So,
Yes.
um, but
Such a great guy.
yeah, he's amazing. He's so I love his energy and his centeredness, and he's so knowledgeable about all the things he does in the
Yeah.
wellness world.
Peptide stem cells. I owe him tremendously. We've been working together for over 3 years. So I've been working with him on his branding and his marketing, and he's been my number one go-to longevity doc. So I just came back from doing a full stem cell upgrade um,
Wow.
just less than a month ago, and I think
At
better,
his clinic, yeah, in
clearer.
Utah. You
Yep,
went to the
that's
clinic,
right.
yeah, nice.
Yep. Yep. So I get a stem cell upgrade at least twice a year. I do intranasal, which means direct injection right through your
Yeah.
up to your brain. I do joints, so and back, neck, and I'm 59. So I'm doing everything, and a cancer survivor. I had stage 3 colorectal cancer 13 years
Oof.
ago, which
Wow.
left me with fewer parts than when I went in.
Wow. Yeah.
They didn't just cut out the cancer, they cut out some of my pipes.
Oof.
And
Yeah.
so, with that, and I had full surgery, chemo, radiation. So I have a different timeline than most, and a different respective time than probably most who haven't gone through a cancer cycle.
Yep.
So yes. So well, let's hit the 6 M's in your
Yeah.
next act, because if you go ahead and ask me a specific question, or I can give you the fire hose summary of everything I've learned about branding and building a brand and becoming profitable in days instead of years, if you'd
Yeah.
like. So yeah.
That and the one
Okay.
well, the one thing too, real quick, I want to say, I think it's really cool, right? You're one of the guys, you're like so good at what you do, but there's a like some you're not optimizing for fame and status, right? Like you're really good and you're like a master. But then like I love Dan Sullivan, right? He explains it well. Are you a growth entrepreneur or are you a status entrepreneur? And it's not either or, but like
Yeah.
so many people out there, they just want to have a huge audience, right? And like just be
Yeah.
known and famous. And again, it's not good or bad, right? But like you remind me of like Jay Abraham, right? Not many people know Jay
Oh,
Abraham. People that
I
are in the
love Jay.
industry
Yeah.
know Jay Abraham, right? But like
Yeah.
you're like really good at what you do. And it's and kind of like Jarek too, my friend Jarek Robbins. Like
Hmm.
he like doesn't want to be known, right? Like and same with you. I feel like you aren't optimizing for likes and audience, and you're more optimizing for
Yeah.
mastery and just results.
Thank you for that. I have plenty of friends who are in the shock space, and they optimize for fame. And unfortunately, that is a endless toilet where eventually I think you compromise your soul and your non-negotiable values,
Mm,
and eventually you run out of steam. And there's a guy I really respect. There's a few artists I really respect. Billy Joel just had a documentary came out a short while ago, and it is a phenomenal journey of what a 50-year career looks like, and how difficult it's been,
mm.
and how many losses he's had. And I have a lot of respect for artists who understand that. So, and I do think that if you want to create a lasting brand and be in a position where you get to do what you love to do and what you're great at, it can't be optimized for fame. It really does have to be optimized for value creation and purpose. And fame's a beautiful byproduct, but I would rather be useful and famous to 100 people who I can create tens of millions or hundreds of millions of dollars of value with than worry about 1 million. I don't like the conversations I had to have. And at one point I did have large followings, gigantic audiences, and I was selling like basically how to make money on the internet type of products and earlier in my career. And it was great until it wasn't. And now I build about 20 businesses a year with founders who've either had an exit or want to reinvent themselves or reinvent the business they had. And that's why I created Your Next Act in the 6 M's. So now I'll answer the question. I'll give you like the shortcut because I love to say that frameworks create freedom. And when you operate with first principles thinking, which in Elon Musk, Steve Jobs, some of the most effective humans and wealthiest humans see things through the lens of first principles, which is worth doing a deep dive for anyone who's not familiar with the concept. But the 6 M's go as follows. And it is a system and a process for creating brands and businesses from scratch, and also for improving the one you already have. So if I walk through the 6 M's, and I'm going to, again, I just found it, so I'm going to show it to you for anyone who's a visual learner, and we'll make sure we pop it in the show notes. So the first one is mindset, which is the vision, the mission, your non-negotiable personal and brand values. Steve Jobs made a declaration, make a dent in the universe. A bicycle for your mind was one of his hooks. 10,000 songs in your pocket with the original iPod. But Apple stood for something. I think they've lost their way personally, and it's one of the reasons why they're not the most valuable company in the world any longer. But your mindset defines your non-negotiables, which is you are in or out. You believe this or that. And strong leaders create that. And then the market, by definition, is who do you want to be a hero to? Not who is your customer. Who do you want to be a hero to? That language pattern shifts your behaviors. And when you really get explicit with that, for me, I want to be a hero to owner founders who want to multiply the value of themselves and their businesses by an order of magnitude, 10x to 100x, and find shortcuts to do that. Which leads us to your business model. That's your brand promise, your offer, and how you make money. What are you willing to stake your reputation on, your personal reputation as a founder extended into your brand with your employees and your team members and your customers? If you behave that way, these are hard, fast rules. They shift your thinking, your mindset, and your behaviors. Your messaging are the words that are said. In other words, it's the marketing, the transformation you promise. So if I asked you right now, what's your promise that you make to those you wish to be a hero to when you work with someone?
So I promise, I work with most specifically cryptocurrency founders, and my promise to them is to really help them optimize their mental, emotional, and physical well-being so they avoid burnout and overwhelm and distractions, and so they can perform even better and grow their projects to the next level.
Yes, that's great. A very specific who with a very specific problem and a very specific so that you can, which is a great message. And because of that, you get hand raisers. Now, for them, you need to reach those crypto founders in a specific place, and most likely they are long format podcast digesters, hence a great podcast. They probably go to events. So being an event speaker helps you find the right ones. So if you get a speaking engagement and can do a presentation with some case studies in it in front of an audience of right fits, you can get a year's worth of new clients.
That's what I went to the Bitcoin conference and spoke there.
Right on. I mean, that's perfect. So that is the media or the marketing channels. I'm a huge believer. I believe that love them or hate him, the last presidential election in the United States was determined by his son saying, Dad, get on Joe Rogan podcast, get on Theo Vaughn. and millions of young, frustrated men raised their hands who normally wouldn't vote and voted. And that was not a political statement. That is, I think, an observable fact that rocked and shifted the fabric and direction of this country.
I agree. Yep.
Right? So then the last are the multipliers. These are the strategies and tactics that increase top line revenue. And that is a very important concept. So businesses that I think are in decline and suck and will lose are those that are focused on bottom line revenue. How do I squeeze another nickel and some more blood out of this rock? How do I screw my customer by giving them worse service and screwing my employees? How do I screw the supply chain? How do I manipulate something by creating no real value so I can extract and pull up more? It's bottom line thinking that eventually destroys companies versus creating more value top line, which is creating something that's 3 times more expensive. Be the best, the most expensive, and the only. That is top line mindset. So this is a formula. And when I ask people what they stand for and what they mean, this actually composes and creates the messaging that gets the hand raisers who say, where have you been all my life? I believe the same thing you do. I want what you have, even if I have to pay 3 times more for it.
Yep. Wow, that's incredible.
That's the 6 M's, and that's what. And I can give you that book too as a giveaway. Your next act, which gets into more detail for any reinventors. But
that's awesome.
Yeah, it's my website, MikeKoenigs.com/free, and you can have the audio book and the book for free.
Amazing, so generous. Thank you. That's such a great model. I love how it's like each chunk is just totally encapsulating the most important pieces.
It is an unbelievable simple shortcut, and it's not like this is breakthrough because every great marketer has some variation of it. But what I think that I did that's unique, and look, I borrowed a lot of ideas from Dan Sullivan and what I've learned in Strategic Coach for the past 15 years, from a mindset perspective. I learned a lot sitting in Tony Robbins events, going back as far back as 1995, my first in-person experience, and later on when I worked with him. But when you surround yourself with legendary minds, some of that rubs off, and eventually you start synthesizing these solutions because you start seeing these patterns. And ultimately, you got to package this stuff in a simple way so it can be used. And how is celebrity and fame created? You got to put on a good show. You gotta package it into a 3-minute song, and you gotta have a damn good hook. And business is every time you and I speak, we have to create a new song or a little movie, so that creates some interest and keeps our audiences engaged and wanting more.
I love that. You're great at that. I remember when last time I saw you in person, you talked about the sizzle, not the steak. And also you said everybody needs to set up their own podcast, which I did at my place back home. Your own studio, right? You got to have a studio set up.
Yep. Yep. I've been working in a studio now for I've got someone coming over in a little while. So
nice.
It's a multi-camera studio that is foot pedal operated.
Wow. And, that's so cool.
I switched my own show, and I used to have $1.5 million worth of gear, 7 sets, and 2 engineers that needed to be there. And now it's, you do a full production with, you don't need a lot.
You're the guy. You're the AV guy.
I'm just a nerd who likes toys, and I have an excuse to use them, and be like, what? My wife will be like, another Amazon box.
Yeah.
Where do you put all this stuff? Why do you need all these things? So it'll be like, gotta make more stuff faster, baby.
Yeah. I'm curious, how much time do you invest each week or whenever, however you think about it, in like learning new technology, playing with these toys versus like sales, marketing, reaching out to people, speaking at events, and working with clients?
They're kind of all the same. So here's the way I operate. I compose the equivalent of a new album, a new movie, about every 2 weeks. Okay, that's the way I think about it. So I'm going to be going down to Florida next week for a performance. I've got NASA coming up in 2 weeks after that. So, and then I've got another one after that at um, Dave Asprey's biohacker event. Now, that's a different audience, different messaging. Thematically, the frameworks will stay the same, but the body of the content. So the short answer is I will get up every day. I use a variety of tools like GenSpark to hyper learn somewhere between 4 to 30 hours worth of content every morning inside of 30 minutes. So that's my absorption process, and that is a daily ritual that I incorporate with my workouts. So I'll go out for a run, and I'll be listening to the summaries that will be created by my super learning tools.
So what's an example of that? How does that work? I don't
Sure.
explain that.
Yeah, great example. So you know how earlier I showed you how I use GenSpark to go out and hyper learn.
Yeah.
We learned about Peter Thiel, for example, and the net result was we ended up getting this document, which again I will share. So this is like I don't know how many pages, but quite a few pages long with
Yep.
everything about this interview. Now, I create the equivalent of this, but on multiple topics every day, so I can learn about the very, very latest tools that are sometimes no older than 8 hours, right? Brand new. Um, and then what my core business is, and I charge $200,000 to $250,000 when I reinvent a company, or it's 60 grand a day to work with me to build and invent something and create something. So think of that as I do a marathon, about 2 marathons a month with clients who come in. They spend 1 to 3 days with me and my team to build a brand new business. And we do it in real time.
Mm.
So I put my reputation on the line using the latest tools with a very expensive, it's like SEAL team level, they're like Navy SEALs. And we build and create entire businesses, oftentimes from scratch. So that forces me to run my marathon and do my laps and stay in shape and not abuse myself. So nothing better than putting your reputation at stake
Wow.
and have
Yeah.
a lot of someone else's money at stake, right? Because if they're pissed and I don't deliver, they're going to tell people, right? So, and then I perform. So the composing a new quote unquote movie or song means I'm in front of an audience doing podcasts, doing live shows, either paid speaking or speak to sell. And again, if you've been around long enough to know that if you're performing on a stage and you're feeding families, you better have your act together and you better put on a damn good show that's engaging, entertaining, useful, that creates momentum. Because every one of my speaking gigs comes from someone said, "Did you see what Mike's doing?"
Yep.
And I'll be like, and I'm not saying this to be for an ego trip, but I work my ass off to put on something brand new that you've probably never seen before in an actionable, accessible way that flips some triggers, whether you're 18 or 80. And I do have 18 and 80-year-olds at my
Yeah.
events. So it took a long time to get here. On one hand, there's no shortcuts, but now there's shortcuts.
Yep. That's incredible. Real quick before we wrap, so what does that look like for you in the morning? You work out, or do you like hyper learn first? Like, how do you like to stack your morning?
Yes. Yeah, that's a great question. So, and very few people have asked that specific. So what I'll do in the morning is I will, as soon as I wake up, I actually put on a podcast while I'm taking a shower, and I
Mhm.
put it in double speed, and I'll find something that I want to learn. And then I'll go to my iPad and I will create a GenSpark prompt that will create a hyper document for me. And then I've been a carnivore now for about 18 months. So I walk out, I pull a steak out of the fridge, I fire up an air fryer because it's fast, and in 10 minutes I've got a steak and a quart of water. And then I take a variety of supplements, life extension stuff, and then I'll go out for a run with and I'll convert my hyperlearn document into a mini podcast. So I can
Mm.
listen to that, or I might be listening to someone I follow who's up to date on AI related stuff. And then
Yep.
by 9 o'clock, between 8 and 9, I'm at my desk for 8 to 9 hours. If I'm in town, either working with clients, creating presentation decks, materials, working with my team on paid traffic or funnels, or solving human problems. And
Yep.
then around 4 to 5, I text my wife and I say, let's play. And so we work on a relationship. Right now, my 93-year-old mother-in-law, who is a Holocaust survivor, is living with us, who I love. I love her.
Yeah.
I've been married 25 years. So I have the great fortune of being around this wise, very, very sharp, interesting Jewish immigrant who fled for her life from what at the time was Yugoslavia, Bosnia. And
Wow. Yep.
yeah, so and then on I do my best. I do a lot of between time things. So I constantly have somewhere around 6 AIs running and working on the same problem simultaneously. So I'll give the same prompt to 6 geniuses who are solving my problems and helping me figure out how to accelerate time for my clients. And that is my daily mindset. It is a very useful ritual that brings riches and value and purpose.
Incredible. I love that. Thank you for sharing that. So if people want to learn more about you or do the AI accelerator stuff, they go to MikeKoenigs.com or
Yeah, MikeKoenigs.com/free will get you your next stack book. And then
yep.
AIaccelerator.com/free will get you the AI Accelerator book, audiobook, and some free trainings. And from
Yep.
there, you'll get sequenced in and you can learn more about the event, which is just AIaccelerator.com/live. That's where we
Yep.
have our live event details. And again, I would love, love, love to have you at my next one as my guest. That would be
I would love
such a
that.
pleasure.
Absolutely.
So,
You do that in
and
Arizona, right? Is that where you're doing it? Where are you doing it?
yeah, the first one we did
Yeah.
in San Diego at the University Club. The next one is at Genius Network offices. My
Oh
good
yeah.
friend Joe
Perfect.
Polish,
Joe. Yep.
and then I will likely, when I have the right partner, I'm actually, that's one of the things that I'm looking for right now, is someone who wants to produce them either internationally or in other places. I love doing events. I love creating content. I do not have an event business, nor do I love filling events anymore. That
Yep.
is that is a thing that is not on my in my wheelhouse of fun tasks. I did it for almost 20 years, and my God, how Tony Robbins and that whole crew
Yeah.
manages to fill and fill and fill is unimaginably challenging to do that. That is, there are only a few people in the world who have ever pulled that off like that, besides rock bands that don't have a longevity like Tony or a Brian Tracy or some of the old timers like Zig Ziglar, etc. You know?
Yep. It's incredible.
So
That's what I did when I was working for Tony. I was one of his speakers and we'd fill the UPW event, me and like 6 other guys.
I
But it's
remember,
incredible
man.
how much it
Yeah,
takes.
it is unimaginably complicated human psychology to
Yep.
pull that off and to be able to do it over and over again. And to anyone who ever thinks that that is easy, this is why rock and roll stars get paid like rock and roll stars, and why the record companies that manufacture those stars, that take the raw talent, get all the money, because it's
Yep.
really, 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 really hard. You can be all pissy about it, but being a publisher is really, really hard.
Yep. Yep. Absolutely. Well, before we wrap it, I'm going to have you leave a departing message. I just want to say thank you so much for just being such an inspiration and being so generous with your time, your knowledge. You don't have to work another day of your life, right? But I appreciate and your mission's very inspiring to me. So thank you so much.
I need to be around more younger entrepreneurs like you,
Mm,
and that is, if I had a hole in my life, it's that I'm not mentoring enough young men and women right now.
yeah.
So I just want to acknowledge that gift you just gave me and give you a gift back, which is you are a heartfelt, talented interviewer, and I just can feel what a kind, good person you are.
Mm, thank you.
Yeah. So thank you for that gift, and I hope you receive mine.
Absolutely. I do. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Well, let's end with that. That's a good ending.
Okay. All right.
Awesome, man.
Well,
Thanks so much, Mike.
great job. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely.